Hello there, and welcome to episode 3 of my quick tutorial series for Dwarf Fortress. In today's episode, we are going to cover the topic of automation, because in the previous episodes we have been ordering every single thing in our fortress still manually, which is really not recommendable, but we were just starting out, so things are just okay. But there are ways and means to get things automatically produced, and in this game this is very, very, very useful, and believe me, you will automate a lot of things. I have a lot of other videos already down the road, so if you want to watch them, there's a playlist link in the description box below. So, automation is being found here in the work orders menu. The thing is, we can't order anything without a manager. So the first thing that we're going to provide is a manager's workplace. For that, you will require a chair. If you make it out of stone, it is not called a chair. It is going to be called a throne. Throne and chair are entirely interchangeable, and in this game, working out exactly the same. We're making 2 of these, so we can employ some other useful person later as well. So, as you can see here, the ash logs or the log in that case, it's a singular unit, is being transmuted into an ashen chair. So now I'm going forward and dig my manager to be a little bit of a small room because, you know, let's just be nice to each other, I guess. And we put down the chair here. Boom. But as you see there, currently we can't place it down, and you might be confused, but there is a chair. Why doesn't it work? So let's try it one more time. Now it went registered. So sometimes when there's a little check mark here behind the items, just like here, then somebody is currently busy hauling that thing from one place to another. If they are marked for hauling, you can't use them for building. So this can confuse you at the beginning of the game quite a lot when you are producing things and they are obviously already produced, but the game gives you an error message in type of the item isn't even available. That's why. Okay, so we're setting down the chair in that corner. If you want to, you can also add in a door. Let's do that for this particular one. Let's set up the other chair that we got down here. Alright. Sooner or later, one of our dwarven friends will now pick up the task and place down the chair. You can't really directly order them to do these things. They will eventually pick up the task and do, as you said, they should do. So, over here we have now the maple door that we have ordered, and now we can place it down in the doors and hatches menu. Sorry, I went a little bit hasty over that. The furniture tab is where you find those chairs, obviously, and all other types of furniture. These items here in these tabs, though, need all to be pre-produced. None of these can be just ordered to be put in there. You can't automate that part of the procedure. Okay, let's wait until the door has been placed. As you can see here, our friends are sleeping, catching some Z's. If there is no bed available, they'll just sleep on the ground. In the long run, that'll make them unhappy, but in the short term, it's absolutely okay. So, as you can now see, we have everything placed down. Next step, we go on over here into the zoning menu, and we need offices now, because a manager does need an office to manage things. So what we're doing now next is we're going to put this over here, a rectangle, left click, another left click on the other corner, and then accept it. So now we have assigned an office. We could now, with this button, assign this office to somebody. Let's assign it to the expedition leader. This doesn't provide us with a manager yet, though. So we need to go into the nobles and administrators menu. And here you get an overview about all the people that serve a function in the city as a whole. So for example, this dude here being our expedition leader. Here we see all the other different jobs, and you see here also the manager. Press the plus sign, and the expedition leader in a standard setup is the one with the organizer skill. The most competent people will get sorted up to the top of the list. It gets a little bit complicated when it's jobs that have more than one trait, but if it's only one trait necessary, this is pretty easy. There we go. the manager has been assigned. So from this point on, our friend now is capable of organizing active work orders for us. There's two ways of putting up work orders. Work orders can exist bound to a workshop, like when you select the workshop and go into the tab for work orders, you can order specific things that will be made only at this particular workshop alone. The order is only for that workshop. If we go into the big menu here and select this button, we issue a work order which will be issued for the entire fortress. So your folks will try to grab whatever work place they can get to fulfill that order. It's a big difference there. As you can see here, basically every item that is producible in the game is now here available. The different workplaces and the different items to produce. Quite a convoluted mess, isn't it? So what we're looking for are two things. For one, we want to, as an example, automate now our food production. And for the other thing, I want to introduce how these things work. So first up, we need containers for our drink, because we've learned in the previous episode, no container, no drink. So you select your carpenter's workshop to select the barrels. Wooden barrel goes here. Or if you don't want to use wood, you go over to the craft store's workshop, and you can here type into the topmost line rock pot. This would be an alternative to barrels. So they work entirely the same though, function-wise. We're running with barrels here because we have a lot of wood available. Left click that, and now the job is in the list. So what we have now done is a single time order to make 10 wooden barrels. That's pretty okay, but it doesn't take the burden off of your mind. So we're clicking the magnifying glass order here. No, sorry, this one. These green symbols here. And now we can configure this order more precisely. The easiest way to manage these, and this is how we're going to run this for this video, is to use mostly those suggested conditions. We can also configure these manually, and I will introduce this in a future video about advanced work orders, but not today. I don't want to do this too complicated. So what we're aiming for is we want to have always enough empty barrels, and this condition, if you just click the plus sign behind it, formulates that whenever the amount of empty barrels drops below 10, we issue a new order, and that's pretty solid. You can now also tell the function, for example, that the amount of logs available should be greater than 10 though before we do it, so we don't spend our last piece of log. These conditions can be wildly differentiated. I'm going to cover that in a different episode, but like I said, for starters, this setup is all you require. So you right click now, and what this does now is whenever the available amount of empty barrels drops below 10, new barrels will be ordered. 10 of them to be precise. When you click this icon here, you can now type in how many times the order should be repeated once it triggers. That's that. Now, we want to make also food and drink, we noted. So, another plus sign, we go on over to the still. There we go. We want to brew drink from plant, because that's the most common occurrence. Go for this icon here. And now, I want to make sure that we always have a grand total of 500 units of drink available. So I type in 500. This is the number icon in general for these things. So here's the same logic. Whenever the total amount of drink drops below 500, this order goes off. Ideal. Wonderful. We don't need more on that. So just like that, we have made sure that we don't need to worry about our drink production anymore, as long as we provide wood and ingredients for the booze. Wonderful. The other thing that I want to introduce here is at the kitchen, prepare easy meals, go for the same thing. I want to have a grand total amount of 200 prepared meals at all times. Like I said in the previous video, your dwarves need much more alcohol than they need food. There we go. With this setup now, you have everything prepared for longevity on that end. You produce food and drink now, as long as you provide new ingredients. Now, you can automate basically everything via this menu. What I personally always love to do is to order, for example, beds, because beds are a staple. So we go in there, go here, call it out how many beds you want. Then we probably want some doors as well. So we go on over to Carpenter's Workshop and select a couple of doors. Here, when you go for the magnifying glass icon, you can also select a specific type of material being used. So if you want all your doors in the same color, you can order them to be made only out of maple. So that's one thing that you can totally use. We here, for the sake of starters, we're going to keep it like standard. So let's do this like that. So we have beds, doors, and let's order at the same time, but at the carpenter, chairs and tables for future purposes. So as you see here, we can do basically everything. And with the basic understanding of these functions, you can already do quite a lot of things. It becomes a little bit more complicated when we configure these things more manually, but the good thing is you only need this at a very few cases would you really need it, and most of the time you are okay with how we did it here. So when I unpause the game now, the next thing that happens is the dude that I assigned manager will go to his office, sit down on the chair, and start managing. If he doesn't do that, none of the orders that I have just given here do anything. The little green checkmark thing here shows you once these are active. So sometimes you need to have a little bit of a patience there. But as you see here, the Carpenter's Workshop is now filled with the orders that I have given. The still is filled with the orders that I have given, and the kitchen is filled with the orders that I have given. The fishery configures itself. It automatically orders these things. That is something that we have configured here in the standing orders area. Alright, so that's the basic principles of automation. There's one last thing that I wanted to put into this video. A little trick, if you want to say so. So if you just assign an office only on top of the chair, it counts as well. So if you don't want to dig out an entire room and you want to metagame a little bit, this little scriptlet here would be enough too. And if you are running DF hack, here's another little fun caveat. The auto assign thing here can be used, assign it for a bookkeeper. So if I do this, every future assigned bookkeeper will get this office. Or here at the same point, I can use this for the manager. So if ever my current manager should be not able to manage anymore out of any reason, the next appointed manager will automatically inherit this office. You wouldn't need to do that manually otherwise. So, last thing that I want to do here is assign the bookkeeper. It's usually your planter when you're doing the default start, because the bookkeeper is just the person that makes these numbers go exact. And as you see there now, the bookkeeper has his job, sits down on his throne, boom, numbers are precise now. Basics of automation. This is where we leave it, because with that you can now do whatever you want to do in its foundations. In the next episode, we're going to cover the basic services that your dwarves will need to remain happy. We have now covered their food and drink necessities, and we have organized ourselves. And next time, we're going to start to build a city for real. So, have a good one. Thanks for watching. Drop me your comments down below. Leave a like, leave a subscribe. Consider checking out the playlist link down below if you want to see the entirety of this tutorial series. I'd be very glad. Also, I want to thank all the regular supporters of Ic0n Gaming. I deeply appreciate you guys. And of course, you can join on in. There's a couple of links down there below. And last but not least, many thanks for watching these videos. I really appreciate having you folks. See you all next time.